Welcome, Ryan. Wanted to hop on. We've been interacting a lot on X and sending back and forth some DMs, and some of the things you posted lately kind of really interesting. Wanted to dig in a little bit today and hear about your journey and what's going on at AMP. Been seeing a lot about it and get some insight on some of the things that you're building.
Let's do it. First, I want to give you props though, because I've learned so much about how to use agents for marketing from you. You know, I'm a computer scientist and a founder and a developer, and I tend to think on the dev side of things, but you really opened up my eyes to this idea of single pane of glass. You know, all of your marketing and revenue funnels should, build them with code. So props to you. And obviously, if you're watching this, you probably know about James, but he's got good stuff.
Awesome. I appreciate that. Yeah, it's a unique time right now where you can kind of see this convergence happening, right? Like developers can become marketers and marketers can become developers. So, the tools that are out there to empower that are becoming friendlier for non-technical folks to get onboarded and do these types of things as well, which is really fascinating.
Yeah, it's an amazing time to be alive. It's just, I can't believe how much we can do. So I'm going to show you a couple things that I'm doing that hopefully your audience can learn from, and we'll kind of go from there. So
love it. Let's do it.
Okay, so a little bit of context for everybody, just so they understand. I used to code a lot. So I got a computer science degree. I built my first couple startups myself, and then I started hiring engineers and CTOs and VP of Eng and all that, and I got abstracted away from the code and hadn't coded in a long time. And then, like all of us, we saw, ChatGPT, and I was like, what is this personal, amazing, all-knowing God tutor thing? And retaught myself full stack code. But I want everyone to feel comfortable. I'm not like this crazy eng who understands like deep computer science. I just build stuff like you all. And so my last company was acquired in 21. I took a little time off and then retaught myself how to code. And then I was using, Cursor heavily, Claude Code heavily. And then someone said AMP. And I honestly hadn't heard of AMP. And this isn't a commercial for AMP, but just so you understand how I got here. And I tried it and I liked it. Agent was just really good. I didn't have to choose the model, which was nice because that was stressful, and I didn't have to accept the diff. So I'm going to show you a couple things. I'm building a startup called Untangle, and I'm coding it. I'm doing all the marketing, everything. And so I found it quite interesting to think about how could I do Google Ads programmatically using agents for intelligence, right? Like we have this untapped intelligence now. Why should I be like individually turning a knob inside of Google Ads? So I'll show you a little bit my setup and kind of the way I'm thinking about this stuff.
So your prior startup that you exited, just before we get into here, was it around teaching folks how to code? Or yeah, cool.
Yeah,
so
it was like
they come full circle here.
Yeah, it's amazing. So, I deeply believe like if you can teach people how to code, you unlock their income, their wealth, they can change the world, right? So I spent 10 years teaching 1 million people how to code, unfortunately, right before AI. So now you have this amazing tutor that you can learn anything from. So it's a real dream to come full like circle back to this. So what you're seeing is a couple things. So on the right here, I have a terminal. Now this may look sort of techie to everybody, but it's not. It's just a way to speak to AI. I prefer this because it's just cleaner for me. So I just open a terminal, and a lot of folks are running Claude Code this way. So I'm going to run AMP this way. So I'm going to fire it up, and we're just going to talk to it a little bit. On the left, I have my code, right? So Untangle is a pretty typical Next.js app. It's not fancy. AMP helped me build all of it. So, but what I did here is I want to continue a thread where we look back into, I think we're going to go down here. Let's go to
this continue command is interesting to me. Something I've faced as a challenge sometimes with other agents like Claude Code is that when I run them in Cursor, it seems to use a lot of like computing power or something. When the conversation starts compacting, it'll start going crazy. And I've had Cursor like close down on me before a few times.
It happens.
Everyone thinks
it happens.
But I have a hard time sometimes getting the context back of what I was working on. So this thread, the continued conversation, the thread seemed like a nice kind of entry point to get back to there.
It is just a quick way. Hey, I want to pick up the conversation, and carry it on
Paris.
and go from there. So, we're going to kind of, this is a thread where actually, what I was doing, this is a great sort of marketing. This isn't where I was running Google Ads, but I look at this. I said, I'd like to redesign the homepage. People aren't going to believe that AI can replace their divorce lawyer, which is what Untangle is. It's an AI divorce project manager. And they'll be skeptical of our claims that at $299 price point. What I want to try is showing the 44-ish steps required to get divorced in Connecticut. Help me write some copy for that. So this is kind of a good example of just using, the agent to help you think through your copy, think through your, unique selling point. And I basically work through this. Now, what's interesting is I didn't ultimately implement this. What I did is kind of explore. So here it is. It's like thinking about, okay, maybe we want to talk about the stages of divorce. Here's what you do. And then, you go down here. So what I want everyone to learn from this is like any agent, whether it's AMP or Claude Code or Cursor agent, should be your thought partner on this stuff. Right. And, I know, James, you know this, and this is what you do, but this is the unlock. And I remember in a number of your episodes, you said what you have now is a full service agency.
Yeah.
Right. So use it.
Yeah.
So that's one thread. I'm going to exit out.
Really, like there's no limitations. I mean, when you're in the terminal, you can use your agent for so much more. I've used it for like pricing analysis, for example. Like I've been building a little SaaS tool on the side, and I wanted to research all the competitors, understand the price points. I wanted it to look at all of the services I was using in the app to determine how I could reach my required margin and also be competitive with the other tools on the market. And it can do all of that for you. Like
It's amazing. It is really why you're getting a coffee.
Exactly. And something I say all the time, and it's just like, really, you're only limited by the questions that you know to ask, and then the ability for you to provide good context or good direction to the model. And other than that, like, it's like the world's your oyster.
It is. It's amazing. So one of the tools that I came across recently was Keywords Everywhere.
Mm-hmm.
And their API. And I thought, okay, if I can programmatically get good keywords, it's just going to make my life easier, right? So what I did is I'm going to speak my prompts, because I'm doing this a lot now as well, because it's just faster in typing. So hopefully my mic is all set up. Hey there, test 1, 2, 3. Okay, good. Okay, so I'm going to say, okay, we're using the Keywords Everywhere API. Can you please tell me what that API can do? And then I'll give you some tasks. So it's probably going to go out and search the internet. But as you said, what's interesting about using an agent on the command line is that any kind of local files you have, it can use them, right? And I don't think people get this. They're kind of used to the ChatGPT world where you upload your files. But when you're on the command line, your whole hard drive, is your world oyster. So, All right. So what you see here is, it went out to the web and said, okay, let's check out the docs. It's probably going to give me a couple things that we can do with the API. I've already done this. And eventually I got to the point where it said, okay, here's some things you can do with the API. Now, for those of you that are marketers, like you may not even know what an API is. It's an application programming interface, which is like, it's how to use some software, and your agent can talk to this API and make things happen. And so it's pretty soon going to give me a little list of things to do. So what I did is said, okay, now let's actually let's go back to it.
So out of curiosity, how often are you using voice versus your keyboard when you're working with an agent like AMP?
100% of the time.
Really? Wow. I haven't even gotten into voice yet, but watching the site, it makes me want to start trying it like today.
It's amazing. Okay, so and I'm not being paid to say this. I'm not an investor, but WhisperFlow is amazing. So you can use it on the free plan, and then eventually you pay. And I think it's something like $20 or something.
Yeah.
And I speak everything now. And also you get better context into the agent because when you speak, you tend to give better context than when you're trying to type. Where when you type, you're sort of meticulous and overly precise. So let's go ahead and talk this a little bit. Say, okay, go ahead and tell me the top 10 keywords I should think about focusing on for Untangle. I think you know this, but the URL is untangle-us.com, and give me those 10 that I should focus on. Use the API. All right, so it's going to go off and do that. Now, the point of this is not necessarily to show you exactly what it's going to return, but I just want all of your listeners to understand, you can start to do all this from the command line versus trying to go out and dig through keywords. And then once you find those keywords, well, what do you do about it? I'm actually going to show you something. And this is actually something I learned from one of your videos, is the programmatic SEO.
Yep.
So on this side, and all of your listeners will know this, but I went through and created a huge amount of content that's starting to rank really well.
Amazing. Yeah, I've seen your screenshots from your Google Search Console showing some of the impressions and clicks you've been getting.
It's wild. So what I've, now you can't create spam crap here, right? This has to be good content, as you know. But I went out and tried, and I worked on it with AMP a lot. Like, so let's programmatically write the best, FAQ for getting divorced in Connecticut that exists in the West, right? And we worked very hard on it, right? So this wasn't a spray and pray. And each of these was a spoke to that primary article. And honestly, it's ranking really well. And you have to really care about it.
Right.
All right. So it's
I did a similar process for my boring local business. Part of the process was, hey, go and analyze the SERPs for all of the content ranking for this keyword and give me the gaps, like what's missing. How can I make content that's 10x better than what's currently out there? Now, some people say, well, it's AI created and Google's not going to like it. Well, the first thing Google wants to do is provide value to people that are searching for the keyword. And if you have higher quality content that's going to address their query, it's going to rank.
Yeah, it's just good content. Yeah, I mean, why would you not use intelligence to help you do that? It's not, now, you can't just, prompt it, post it. Like, it takes work, right? So this is kind of fun. Like, James and I are chit-chatting, and boom, in the background, I have, 10 great, keywords to focus on: volume, cost per click, competition. Like, this is gold.
Yeah, really.
And you used to have to pay a lot of money to figure this stuff out. But now this is the really cool part, right? So now I've got that, right? So I'm going to say, now that you've got those 10, I would like you to create a markdown file with a strategy for how we can create content specifically addressing those 10 keywords. All right. So this is now where, and I know you've done this a million times, but this is where you start to take the information and put it into a report. And I always choose Markdown just because agents love it. It's easy to understand. And now I've got that, and I can refer back to that. And then I can start to use that. Like, okay, now let's use the Google Ads API to start creating some programmatic ads on this stuff. So it's just a loop, right? And you go and go and go. Yeah. And you could do this stuff, in 2 weeks, and it would take you, months and tens of thousands of dollars before.
Yeah. I mean, we've all hired agencies, worked with agencies, things like that. And to create, 25 programmatic pages that are optimized for SEO and all that, that would be a months long ordeal. You'd be going back and forth a lot. This just makes it so much easier. Like, again, and you're only limited by your own curiosity and the willingness to try it and experiment and ask the right questions, which is just, it's so fascinating.
It's mind blowing. And whether you use AMP or Claude Code or Cursor, just get into it.
Yeah.
Right. And I think people I mean, even devs, are not always used to using the command line. But if it once you do it the first time and just fire up AMP, you know, just tell it what you don't understand, what you need help with, and it does it all for you.
Yeah.
Right. So, all right, let's look at what we got here. So, basically, we've got a markdown file. So let's go ahead and try to find it really quick. Top. There we go. Let's remove this. All right. So Untangle SEO content strategy, global guidance. We've got a bunch to do. Divorce legal aid, divorce lawyer, Connecticut, etc. Right. So now I've got a kind of a home base where I can go back and say to AMP, okay, now let's go ahead and build out some of these articles, and let's start working on it, and then let's start measuring it, and let's go.
Yep. Yep. So on your Google Ads approach, are you running like a PMAX campaign? Have you explored that at all?
Yeah. So let me share my screen on that. Let's see if I'm logged in.
I think for local markets, like I started testing PMAX recently for my boring business. And, basically you're kind of providing like, the assets and the general sort of ideas and locations to Google. And it's going out and sort of programmatically targeting the search terms and all that. So, back in the day, people would really complicate, like, what's the optimal way to build out and structure a Google Ads campaign? What are the keywords I need to target? And they'd get really hung up on that. PMAX really also makes that an easier process.
It is amazing. So, and this is why I want to encourage people when you're a newbie and you don't know what you're doing, this is why you lean on agents, right? So I had never done Google Ads, right? So back at my previous companies, my marketing team did, or we hired an agency. So I really had no understanding of it. So I did what a lot of people do first. I went and watched a couple YouTube videos because visually I like that. But then I started just talking to AMP and saying, okay, how does Google Ads work? What should I do here? Point at the documentation. And what's interesting is I tried Performance Max first, and it crushed it. Mm-hmm. Like it was shocking. Yeah. I was targeting Connecticut traffic, and I'm like, whoa. And then what's interesting, I actually paused it and took a step back and said, I'm going to do just search first. Yeah. So I kind of get my head around like what's working, because it seems like it's all working. Right. And so I've taken a step back and done a more sort of bite-sized search campaign first. Yeah.
Early on, that'll give you a bit more like detail on, what search terms are actually driving conversion through the funnel, what ad copies are resonating with my, target customer and all that. While PMAX or Performance Max is very powerful, it's a little bit of a black box. Like, your ads might be shown on YouTube, display, search, like all these different channels, and it can be a little bit overwhelming at first.
Yeah. It is. It's sort of like, wow, why is this working so well? And then you kind of wonder, like, is the traffic actually good? And then because we're new, we don't have a ton of conversions yet. So this feeling of like, how good is the algorithm going to be at figuring that out? So with your local business, was it the truck servicing business?
That's right. Yeah, it's a mobile diesel mechanic business.
That's so cool.
Yeah.
So walk us through like those couple first weeks of your first ads campaigns and like what you did and how it worked.
Yeah. Initial traction was solely from the SEO strategy that I implemented with like programmatic location and service pages. So that was like the foundation. Like I always think like a foundation should be organic, like if you can get traction organically, that's a strong base and strong foundation to have. The next step that I did was I created a highly optimized Google business profile. We get a lot of calls from Google business profiles, and this could actually be interesting for you too. Having like a Google business profile in various locations that you serve, because people are searching for like divorce lawyer or something like that on Google Maps, and the map pack's often one of the first things that is showing up on those local search results. And there's a lot of other SEO tricks you can do, like adding different like schemas to your pages, review schemas, things that make your search results look far richer when you're showing up.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah. So I did Google Business Profile, and then I was like, okay, I'm getting a few really good calls a day. Let's test some ads and see if we can take it to the next level. So
Smart.
yeah, I launched that Performance Max campaign, and it started working like almost too well, to be honest. We can't.
That's a good problem.
Yeah, we can't service these people. So I've dialed it back a little bit until we have like enough mechanics hired to kind of ramp it up to where I want it to
I love
go.
it.
So
That's a good problem to have.
yeah,
So look how easy this was. So basically I said, we can use the Google Ads API now. Can you log in and see how our ads are doing? And so I had spent, probably a day getting, API keys and kind of figuring all that cruft around it, because I knew it'd be worth going through the pain to do stuff like this. Right. And so now it's right here. Like,
it's amazing.
So look at that. Google Ads impressions, 33,000, click 2,000, cost 1,000 conversion. Now we're brand new. So we're trying to figure out what works and what doesn't. I expect it to be zero for a bit. This is the PMAX, right? Click-through rate of 7%, like search, not so good so far. It's now that the agent has these things, y'all, it can work on it. It understands it because it's in its context.
Yeah.
Right?
How do I improve my campaigns? How do we get more conversions? How do we improve click-through rate? I mean, it's got the data and the context, and all you need to do is ask the right questions. And some of the things that used to get people hung up, like, ooh, I need to put a conversion tracking code on my website or whatever. Well, all you have to do is, either ask your agent that has API access to do it for you, or go grab the code from your dashboard, paste it into your command line, and it'll be done.
Right. It's never been a better time to be live. And this is why your content is so good, because you don't need to hire out a huge marketing team and a huge dev team. So the last thing I want to show, we're launching something today that's totally free, and just want to share with your audience. So
yeah, please.
The idea, it's lonely and hard to build by yourself, right? If you don't have a huge team, if you haven't raised a bunch of money, where can you find people that are making things, launching companies, building stuff with agents, and how you learn from each other? So I thought, I tweeted, I was in a New York City coffee shop, and I'm like, I think we should get a bunch of people together that are building stuff. And I got like 1,700 replies on the tweet.
Yeah.
And I was like, I guess people want this.
Yeah. I saw that tweet pop up, and it had like thousands of likes, and I was like, wow. I was like,
insane.
Yeah.
So basically we thought, okay, let's build a free community. This is 100% free. It's you could be using Cursor, Claude Code, AMP. It doesn't matter. We welcome everybody. And we're launching today, so by the time this goes live, just go to buildcrew.team, apply. It's basically, if you have a GitHub account and you have a reasonable, thing you're building, we'll let you in.
Cool.
And then we're inviting everybody into a Twitter DM group where you can share, what's working, what's not. If you need help, we're going to do some live streams and support. So it's just a place to hang out.
Awesome.
If you happen to use Build, we're going to give you $100, credit just to kind of help you code more. So
I love it. Community has been such a major unlock, like for the businesses that do it right. I think this is like awesome for people that are going to join. I think this is a great idea for marketing as well. So super, super awesome stuff, Ryan. I know that we planned kind of a quick jam today, but I'd love to do this again when we have some more time and kind of go deeper into what you're building, your workflow, and do this again.
I love that. Thanks for having me, and thank you for your content. It is truly unlock for thousands and thousands of people. So fun to be here.
Amazing. Thanks so much, Ryan. We'll talk soon.
See you soon.
Bye.